Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Today we're going to talk about Ken Houston's proposal that was actually tabled last week. So it's interesting. I have one of the speakers from the event, and this is Toya. And she's part of my encampment. And so she's made a lot of progress learning about what the politics are of homelessness and learning about how the homeless are really targeted here in the city of Oakland. But before we get started, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the Oakland EMP and where it stands today. So the EMP was originated during the Libby Shaft administration. It was created by council member Lauren Taylor of District 6. And when it was put together, myself and the HOG members, HOG, H-A-W-G, Homeless Advocacy Working Group, this is a 200-member organization, and it represents the cross-section of the city of Oakland in terms of residents, businesses, architects, lawyers, and our politicians. So everything's very well represented, also the homeless itself and the homeless advocates. So when this first EMP, encampment management policy, was first put in place, it really said people couldn't be within a certain number of feet of schools, of businesses, their doorways, their garages, and also couldn't be in a majority of the residential areas. So if you went back and looked at all the maps and applied all of those regulations, there was 90% of Oakland could not be inhabited by the homeless. However, here's the thing. You can't tell the homeless where they can and can't be right now. And the reason why, because they'll just pack up and go to another spot and find somewhere where there's less resistance until more resistance is put in place. But the civil rights violations, these are constitutional rights that you have that the city of Oakland and Alameda County violated. This is why, number one, we beat the state of California, Caltrans, back in 2020, and were awarded money and also property, specifically Caltrans property, and it was ordered so by California Superior Court. And they said that Caltrans had to make available any and all properties that they hold in their community land trust. And that particular order was signed by then Governor Gavin Newsom, and the executive order is N like Nancy 23-20. I have acquired a property right here in East Oakland under that N2320 executive order. So that's a 20-acre site not too far away from here. But getting back to the EMP, there was virtually nowhere for the homeless to go. And so they lived in their RVs, their trailers, and a lot of different places. But here's the problem. Whenever Oakland came in to do sweeps on these encampments to remove them, the policy that they told the courts was that they bag and tag all the homeless personal property, and they hold it for a period of 30 days. I'm sure.
I don't know where they hold this at. I still haven't seen it. Nobody has.
Because Toya is going to talk about that one, because somebody specifically asked, where are these locations? And so that these folks can reclaim their property. So I'll let Toya tell you about that one.
Tell you about a bunch of lies. Sorry.
And so we knew we had video of the actual storage containers that the city of Oakland used.
Oh, you mean the dump trucks?
Yeah, the dumpsters.
Oh yeah,
the,
I saw those.
the big
You
trash
see those
trucks. You
every
see them all the
Tuesday,
time.
maybe
And,
once.
and
They come pick
so
up your trash.
that's the filing system and the storage system that Oakland used. And we presented that in court, and that's why we win. We always win.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Oakland cannot deny that they didn't use that, and also they did not offer sites, locations, addresses as to where these folks can reclaim their property.
They tried. They couldn't make up nothing fast enough. They stumbled.
That's right. And so these are violations of the First Amendment. This is your free speech. The Fourth Amendment, which is for illegal search and seizure, because this is what they're doing. They're seizing people's property illegally without cause or reason. And so that's a violation of the
Being
Fourth
homeless
Amendment.
is definitely not cause. It's not
No.
cause.
And your Fifth Amendment to not incriminate yourself. So there's a lot of protections there. Then we have the Eighth Amendment and then the 14th Amendment, which is specifically for our undocumented. It really protects our undocumented folks more so than anything else, but also guarantees your natural born rights if you were born here in America. And so the 14th Amendment is a major protection. And so getting back to how things are right now with the EMP was put on hold. The encampment management policy was put on hold because the court said, number one, you violated all of their civil rights, you threw away their property, now you have to compensate them for those losses. And so the court awarded Miss Morale, also known as Nita B, $250,000 for her lost property and the civil rights violations. Also came with that was something that Ken Houston did not understand and did not know about, likely, is that Nita B has the court's authority to accept or turn down any and all changes to the current EMP and any new EMP that is introduced in the city of Oakland until the end of 2022. That is a court order.
Oh.
So yeah, I knew we were going to win to begin with, but I didn't go there to speak because Ken Houston, council member Ken Houston and I, we have some history, and it's not positive. And so I knew that he wouldn't allow me to speak, so it was best that I send people and spokespeople who represent this train of thought and represent the homeless better than I could at this time. But now that brings you up to speed as to why the EMP has not been implemented here in the city of Oakland and cannot be implemented in the city of Oakland without Miss Morale's consent. And so bringing that up, now this brings up to the battle that we all were at last, was it last week? Mm-hmm. Yeah, last week, last Wednesday, to protest against the Ken Houston proposal, where they simply just confiscate RVs, motorhomes, your home that you actually live in the on Oakland streets, and they don't have to offer any type of housing or shelter. They just can simply go in and take it. No warning, no notice, no 72-hour notice. They can immediately impound that, and if that vehicle has a monetary value of less than $4,000, they can just immediately take it right now, and it doesn't matter if it's registered or not. If it's on the streets of Oakland, they can confiscate it and impound that. So that would make the problem far worse than what it is right now, because people would lose their homes. And what are they going to do with that? Now what is going to end up happening is that they're going to end up in shelter tents, the tents or pop-up tents like
That's
what
illegal.
I meant, and then there's going to be pushback on that, and folks are going to need somewhere to set that up, that space, and Oakland doesn't have that space right now. So
I believe they already did that pop-up tent, and the tent is
Right.
illegal to have within the city limits
Right.
unless you're at a campground.
Right.
So we're already screwed.
And so right now, we're fighting that particular piece of legislation, but to bring you into up to date for today, there's also a state bill, Assembly Bill 630, AB 630, which is very similar. It was written and approved last Friday by the Senate, the California State Senate, and it is going to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk for a veto or a signature on that particular bill. And the bill is pretty much the exact same thing. They can, but it is formed and written in a way that it is only Alameda County and Los Angeles County to be affected by this piece of legislation. And it simply states that if the vehicle has a very low monetary value, $4,000, it fails registration, doesn't have registration, does not have insurance, it can be confiscated immediately. And so we don't want that to happen, because it would be devastating to a lot of folks that are living on the streets and forced to live in a trailer or an RV. And so we want you to be aware of that. We want you to contact Governor Gavin Newsom, either by email or by telephone, and let him know to veto Bill AB 630. And so I'm going to turn this over here to Toya. I'm going to kind of lead the discussion here a little bit, and lead up to where she came in, and I'll add in the some video also from the KTOP, which is the city's channel for the meetings. But anyway, I'm going to let Toya take over and tell you what happened with Ken Houston.
You mean proper light skin? That's what I call it.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. But Ken Houston and I, we have a history that goes back to 2017, and he lived shortly for about 2 weeks out here in my camp.
You mean not 4 years, like you said?
Not 4 years.
Oh.
That was a complete lie. He was in my camp for 2 weeks, and then he got up and out of here because he had crossed a lot of gang members and stole $10,000 from this group over in the cut, and they ended up being swept. And so there are a lot of people looking for Ken. But like I said, I have history with him. He's a constant liar. And one of the things that he talked about in our early conversations was that he was also running for Oakland mayor in 2018. And a lot of the things that he was talking about behind the scenes when he wasn't on air or being recorded were very, very disturbing. One of them was kind of like what Shang Tao got caught in doing, pay to play. And the whole thing with that, Shang Tao got caught, but Ken Houston said very emphatically, if I'm elected, people are going to have to pay to play in my city. And so we know that that's a very disturbing comment.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Ken Houston came across in with something trying to introduce that proposal last week. So
he came across a bunch. Can you say bad words on here?
You can. You're free to say how you feel.
Came across a bunch of BS. So, first of all, the slides that he started off with were ridiculous. It looked like he Googled photos and posted them. There was no personal effect to these pictures. It was just random pictures. It just immediately felt wrong in my soul. Like, this man just rubbed me the wrong way. But I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. I'm not going to just jump to conclusions. I sat and I listened for a while. And what I heard was, backing up those pictures, a bunch of BS. So um, it led me to say, for him to say he's been out here for so many years and that he had experienced all of this that we have, and he's walked in our shoes, and then to turn around and offer the proposal that he's offering floored me. There's no way you've been in this position knowing what it's like and how hard it is, especially today. And then you are open-heartedly offering this proposal. Like, this is your proposal because you've been here. So you know the trials and the troubles and how hard it is to go from being unhoused to being housed. Now, as a kid growing up, I bounced from being unhoused to being housed, with family. And back then there were services, there were shelters, there was opportunities, there was things that could help you from being unhoused to get housed. There were tons of funding, and there was organizations. Mandela House has been magnificent in the city of Oakland for years. There was so many, like Loaves and Fishes used to come out to Oakland. There were so many services that were here that we don't have anymore. So you've taken away every option for help, almost every avenue that we could for help, and left with none. And you're making it harder to be homeless, but there's no resources to not be homeless. Sometimes people fall in bad places. Like, I didn't end up out here because of a drug problem or because of an alcohol problem or because of a mental illness problem. I might be crazy to some people, but that's subjective. But I ended up out here because of a crooked landlord. My entire building was evicted without notice. This man is probably Ken Houston's brother, because I swear they act the same. Anyways, but so I was out here because of that. It's not like I chose to be here. I didn't have the money to fight the case the day that they came. And so I had to move out on a day's notice. Everything that I had was left. I had to walk away. How frustrating and how hard that was to deal with. And then to come here to finally find, okay, adjusting to being outside is a big adjustment. But to come here and meet people like you, and I tell you all the time how grateful and how appreciative we are, or I am for sure, to meet everybody here and see that being homeless is not, they're not all criminals. It's not all about stealing and people just, out here on drugs. That's not what it is. This community, and I'll call it a community, we reach out, they reached out and they helped you, embraced and helped. And everything that we possibly needed and could have to make this as easy of a transition as possible has been offered and shared. And a lot of it because of you. But we need someone in office that is going to have some compassion and understanding. Come spend some time out here with us. Come see what we experience every day. Sit down and talk to us. How can you make a decision based on a life you have no idea what it's like? You've never walked. You've never lived. You can't, there's no way to come up with a solution with no experience. So I don't want my son going to school and being taught by a teacher that's never been educated. I don't want that. I don't want a doctor working on me that's never been to school. I don't want no lawyer fighting my case that has no law degree. I don't want anyone making decisions about my situation that has no experience. I don't. To me, it just doesn't seem right. It's not natural.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sit in your high chair and you can say, this will work, this will work, this will work. None of that has worked so far. Not absolutely none of it. And it's just ridiculous. Get us in there to help you. Start working with us instead of against us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not.
Have you been in any of Oakland's or Alameda County's shelter system?
My entire childhood.
Okay. So
my entire childhood.
Like.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
My mom. Oh, so I grew up in the 80s and early 90s. The crack epidemic. So a lot of parents and a lot of my friends' parents were addicted to crack cocaine. So, money was, it was pretty bad. Yeah, it was crazy. So oftentimes, whatever place we did have, my mom wouldn't pay the rent. She'd be just, she'd be gone somewhere or whatever. And so we had to get somewhere where we could spend the night. And a lot of times, not Alameda County, but Richmond Rescue Mission was a resource. The Mandela House had different programs that were open. I remember once one shelter we stayed at, and it was in Berkeley. I don't remember the name, but it was in Berkeley, and we were there the very last day of its opening. I mean, the very last day it was open. They were closing it, so we were the last family to leave. I'll never forget that. All the tears and the people like, there's no more. There was no more help. There's nothing. But being in those shelters, they offered some comfort and some security. And I knew I was going to eat every day. I knew that there was going to be clean clothes, and I knew that there was going to be toys. As a kid, that's big. That's big. But today, there's nothing. They come to do these sweeps and they come to get us out of here. They don't come with resources.
No, they don't.
They don't come with resources, nor do they give a shit. Nor do they care about resources. Because when they go home at night and lay down, they're comfortable. They're good. They are doing great. We are still here in the same situation, hurting and looking for services that aren't available.
Or services that could be available.
Yeah, but that money goes somewhere else.
Yeah, but then they redirect those funds to other things. And so these are...
I can guess one of them is probably Ken Houston's suit. That was a nice suit.
Sorry. I saw the video of that, and his very expensive suit.
Oh yeah, he's a nice showman. I would like to see him on Young and the Restless. That's where he looks like he belongs. General Hospital, something like that. Because he's a good actor.
Yeah, he got elected running as a homeless advocate. And
so he got in and he switched up. Okay,
he's the furthest thing from a homeless advocate.
Yeah,
all of us that at Hogg know Ken Houston and his history with the homeless, and how he has harassed people, and that he continues to do that. So it's sad.
Yeah,
it's sad that District 7 elected him, but we did elect him.
That goes to show, pay attention to who you're voting for. Look into them. Stop just going and filling out papers and saying, okay, this, because someone says it sounds good. Do your research. Find out who you're voting for, who you're putting in place to take this kind of power. This is our fault. We can't really be mad. This is our fault. If you didn't vote, shame on you. And if you did vote, shame on you. I don't know which one. We got to get it together. We need to pay attention, because this kind of stuff it's hurting everyone. And, to be honest, with the day of the city council meeting, some of the people that spoke were business owners. And they weren't happy about the homeless situation, but they weren't cold-hearted. They did still have compassion. What you're doing is not working, but we can't just throw them to the wolves. We can't. So they can, but they're going to fill up Alameda County. They're going to fill up Santa Rita. They're going to fill up every mental hospital they have. Offer help. Get some mental services out here. Get some mental health services out here. Get some housing services out here. Figure out a plan that works, that's long-term, that's not just there. And get someone to oversee the funds that you're issuing out. Stop giving out money to nowhere, because that money doesn't go where you just think it's going to go. It needs to be followed. It needs to be watched. You need to have some kind of structure.
Yeah. And my past experience with this particular district, there's been a real big resistance to turning a lot of these abandoned buildings into real housing, such as the Oakland Hilton out by the Oakland airport. At the entrance. It is an abandoned site now.
There's so many hotels there.
And there's been offers of from agencies to lease that site and turn it into homeless housing. And that's a huge resource that's being wasted right now. We also have a lot of properties that go undeveloped because of the lack of investment in deep East Oakland here. Former Union Bank site over at Edgewater and Hagenberger. There used to be a 12-story building there. And when Union Bank decided to move its headquarters to elsewhere out of Oakland, they tore the building down to reduce their tax liability to the county and the city to absolute just minimal. And so there's a site that can be developed right there, has paved parking lot, has water access, electrical, everything is right there to create some housing solutions. Also, right behind me, right here at 865 77th Avenue, this is the former AT&T service yard They left because they were getting ripped off so much. They were being broken into nightly for over a year in the city of Oakland. The police department did absolutely nothing.
They're too busy targeting the homeless to be worried about the crime.
And so this is a 20-acre site behind me that can house 1,200 people. 1,200 people can be housed on this 20-acre site. Across the street from me is another property, 850 through 860 77th Avenue. It is a 10-acre site, has 5 buildings on it. One of those buildings has facilities with a kitchen, bathrooms with showers, and office facilities. The other 4 buildings can be built out with about 240 units in each of those buildings. So that would become the new Oakland Youth Center, so that folks who don't have housing, the young folks that don't have housing or are aging out of foster care, they have somewhere to come to for immediate housing, for help, for educational assistance to move on and help them with their futures. And so these are centers that can be right here, can be developed with Measure W funds from Alameda County. These are real permanent solutions that are on the board right now. But yet our city leaders are saying, we don't want those projects. We don't want those programs. We only want 2 years maximum on temporary shelter.
So we'll be right back here in 2 years.
No, and if you do get into the programs, every person that has gone into the program no longer lives in Oakland because there are no homes in Oakland. They want to relocate the poor out of Oakland. They will send you anywhere outside of Oakland and house you there, help you with the housing.
As much as I love my city, I don't know that that's that bad anymore. I mean, and we are rooted. We are born and raised here. And how bad is that we don't want to be here anymore?
And I'm a 3rd generation Oaklander. My family goes back to 1850 here in the Bay Area. So that was even before the city of Oakland was formed.
Right.
And so for me, all of my services, my health care is centric right here in East Oakland. So for me to move out of Oakland, I would lose all of that immediately and would have to reestablish that in the new county wherever I moved to.
Right, which would be way more difficult.
Yeah, and I did that, tried doing that as a person who was housed at, when I moved to North Carolina. It was extremely difficult getting services, and as a housed person with an income when I signed up, and it was crazy and there's so little offered, so little, and I said it's not worth me staying here. Plus, I encountered a lot of racism back there, and I just said no, I'm out. I'm going back to the Bay Area, and that's why I returned, because when you move outside, it may be actually impossible for you to gain health care in another county if you had not lived there at any time or any other point in your life. And that's what was happening to me in North Carolina, because I had never lived outside California. I had no rights to any kind of health care or benefits in the state of North Carolina. So very different. And people will say, well, just go somewhere where you can afford. Well, that place does not exist anymore, and it has never existed. And so it doesn't matter. We got to build the housing here in Oakland. These are real viable solutions. We have real viable financial funds to do this and relieve a lot of suffering that goes on our Oakland streets. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you got some information. Say, if you see Toya out on the streets, be sure to say hi. She is fighting for all of you that are housed and even unhoused. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.